Hello and welcome back. We are talking about reporting inside of the Administration Data Tools feature in Teamcenter 2406. And in the last video, we had kicked off a report with a whole bunch of sample data that we've changed in our development environment. This data represents data that we would build over there and then need to export and import into another environment, mimicking developing between a development environment and prod using administrators. So in here we have our prod system still sitting and waiting back here. We haven't made any adjustments to this. We just have a nice output package containing the data as it stands, as well as a zip package for the data as it stands. In dev, we've made the changes and we've exported a new report. Let's go ahead and take a look at that report. It does tell you the location of this. If I come out and scroll down, here's the post mod report. And if I open that up, you can see that I've got basically the report after the modifications were made. And if I go to organization, you'll see that my user has been added to the designer group and role. And then if I scroll down a little bit further, it also includes the change to my group and role that I added. If I go to something else that I modified, so let's go to style sheets. I did a modification to the home. So if I do home, or if I look for the folders summary style sheet in here, kind of move this over for show object location or for the regular panel. If I make this a little bit bigger here, we can take a look at the code so it doesn't overlap. The benefit of these little control bars is you can move them over. And then if I come down, the contents in this one haven't been updated, so this isn't it. I'll have to find the style sheet related to the place I changed, and I could always come back in here, navigate to folder, pull up the style sheet, and then go in here, and it should tell me the name of it is AWP folder summary. So this should show that there's a collapsed initial state here. And if I go to the administration data, notice that's favorites folder. So I need to make sure I'm in the right one, select this, and then if I come over, I should be able to see the changes. You just have to make sure that you're looking at the right one. Notice this one's folders summary and this one's folder summary. So naming your style sheets appropriately is one of the most important things you can do. So I've got the initial state here. Now this is useful in doing a full analysis on one single site, but what happens when you need to compare the two sites and have a nice report on what's going to go in? Then we can use what's called our generate comparison report tool between the two sites. We just need either an export from one of the two sites to run the tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the output package and prepare to deploy it or import it onto the production site. Now that I've generated a report on it, I'm going to export out the actual zip package, take it over to the production client, and then run my comparison report against it. So I'm going to use the admin data export utility this time. I'm not going to use the TEM for the export. I'm just going to use this because the TEM is going away. I'm going to say G equals, and then I'm going to do a admin data types equals all. I'm going to grab all the types. Now I could partially just select the ones that I modified. So the ones that I had modified were organization. I could grab something else, but in this case I want it to be all just to do a full comparison. And then in there I can then specify a output package, if you will. But if you forget the input, you can always do a -H. You can see that in here I'm going to get everything, so I don't want to specify input criteria. And then admin data types I have, and I just need output packages. Output package. And then I'm going to create a new package inside of my TC root. Again, it's probably recommended to put this in a temp directory of some sort. I'm going to call this administration package dev with mods. So with my modifications, you can put a time date stamp on there, but just don't forget your zip. I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and that's going to generate, as long as I typed everything, that output package called with mods. So in here, it'll generate this, and I can take it over and run the generation report that compares the two once it's complete. So let's go ahead and give it a couple of minutes to finish up. Once it does, we fully expect it to generate that report right down in here somewhere. We've got the original administration data report here, so the next one will come in after the fact. Now, it is making it pretty quickly out to there. It's only got style sheets and workflows to do. So this should wrap up here in a moment, or actually just workflows, and it's actually finished. So it finished up just like it had in the past. I've got my new package here, and I just want to make sure I do not extract this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it, paste it into my staging directory, whatever drive or server is in between my prod and dev. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to open a file explorer window, go to my downloads directory, and just paste it here because it has access to both images. Then I'm going to go over to my production environment, which is my green, and I'm going to take this and paste it in here. In my case, I'm just going to paste it with the other one. Say paste. And then I can see that I have package dev with mods. So now I can run a comparison between the two packages, or I can just run a comparison between this object and the server at the production level. So now I have everything staged. I've even put my migrated data over onto prod. I don't necessarily need to bring the production system down. I can do this import with it up. And then the next time people log in, get a new session, they'll pick up on the data, or the next time they execute it, depending on the data. So in here, I just need to remember this directory. That's where they exist. And I'm going to close this and just kind of double check that in here, those things aren't set. So I'm going to come into the people, and you can see in the users, there's only one user. In the groups or in the organizational tree, you can see that engineering doesn't have the other user in it, and sponsor doesn't have that group. If I come into my author location, you can validate that under the Explorer. Once it loads up, you do not have an auto-collapsed style sheet section. So it is expanded here. And then you can double check the search at the moment has the setting to show the advanced search up here. So the different changes are reflected inside of here, and we are going to do the comparison report. I'm going to open up my command prompt, same command prompt, and run generate admin data compare report, provide my credentials, and then do a -H. So in this one, again, we're doing the generate admin data compare report. We're just adding a -H, and you'll notice it needs either a source package and a target package, or an extract and compare. So source package is easy. That's going to be our dev environment. The target package or extract and compare, it's either one or the other, is the target location. So in this case, I want to compare against prod, a package I got from dev. Source package is going to be dev, and then I could run extract and compare against the current server, or I could run it against the package I just exported. And then admin data types, I could, even though the package includes them all, I could specify only include a certain set of data types in the comparison, and then what directory I want that to generate into. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and add admin data types equals all. I'm going to do source package is equal to CApps Siemens Teamcenter 2406 TC root, and then it's the administration dev with mods is going to be the source package. I'm going to do extract and compare for getting the data out of prod as it stands right now instead of from prod's output package. And then I'm going to say output dir is equal to CApps Siemens Teamcenter TC root, and then in this case I'm going to do modded administration data compare report dev to prod. And then that'll be the directory it creates it in, and I'll press enter. And as long as I typed everything correctly, it'll begin to generate that comparison report. I have not had a lot of luck generating a comparison report between two packages generated in two different versions of the software. In some cases, the index.html just is never produced and you can't actually see the data. So always be comparing data between the same versions of Teamcenter to ensure consistency here. So once this finishes its generation of the report, we'll be able to take a look at the output and see how this report discerns between two different environments. In the next video, we'll go through and we'll actually import the changes and dictate different settings to replicate a real import, and then we'll see how that import impacts the system. All right, the report generation's moving fairly quick. We're down to queries and preferences. We're almost at the workflow setting, which is the final setting. It always works alphabetically down, so once you see workflows, you're almost at the end there. And preemptively, while we wait, I'm going to navigate into the directory that contains the report that's being generated. And then in here, I can see the modded administration data compare report. Again, probably want to save this off somewhere else. This is going to end up generating my index.html in here for me to run and take a look at once it's complete. So it's making its way through a lot of preferences that are in the system right now. In the system, when we're looking through this, preferences will take a little bit of time, mainly because when you switch over here and you go into preferences, depending on what all you have installed in the system, which we have kind of a bare bones install, we've got over 4,000 preferences in here that it needs to build a report against. If you have other templates, you could have thousands upon thousands more inside of here, so that's why that step takes a little bit of time to complete. Save queries is usually a flatter set of data, a little bit lighter on how many there are, maybe hundreds instead of thousands. Workflow templates could also be a larger export when it comes to generating the report, as workflows could generate large files depending on the size and length of your workflows. So let's go ahead and just kind of pull this up, and we'll just give it a few more minutes to complete. Still waiting for it to finish up here. It's getting very, very close. We don't have a ton of workflows in our system. So in here you can see that it's began to build the workflow template section out and populate the document for this. Kind of watching this utility go as it makes its way through. And then if you were to jump in, we're still awaiting that index.html that's going to allow us to review them. So it looks like it's completed the workflow section, and now it's just going to generate the report. So we'll give it another minute or so to get that accomplished. And it just started taking off right there. It's parsing all the data from the exports. At the moment, you'll see the index pages, the actual UI get generated automatically here. That's when you get a majority of the folders that are in this structure. And then once it gets all that data there, it can generate an index.html, which tells it how to render the data when you open up the report. Now, each one of these is generated dynamically after the fact, so it would take some customization to have it generate a different way, but there are style sheets in this report output, if you know CSS, to modify, and you could just replace the style sheets each time to get a different look and feel on the reports. That goes above and beyond into customizing the look and feel of administration data reports. I don't think it's absolutely that necessary, but if I get enough requests, I'll go into it. Again, just kind of waiting for that last folder or two to get generated, and it's pretty much completed at this point. So as I said that, index.html popped right up. You can see the output of the utility was here. Now let's take a look at what the utility provides us. So I'm going to just double click that index.html. What it's going to do is it's going to turn anything that has differences yellow, and you can see our organization, preferences, and style sheets were all modified. In addition to that, it'll tell you in here exactly what was modified. We have a change to a group with a new role. We have new user. Notice it says 2 users in this. And then persons. We only added 1 user, but it was used twice, and that's why it's saying 2. So if I come into the organization, it will show me a side-by-side comparison between the 2 sites, environment 1 and 2. Source is the left site, target's the right. And then you can see in this, the package that we're going to import includes this user, and it includes the user reference over here. If I go to preferences and I scroll down, it will show me any preference differences in the system, but you need to collapse this down a hair. And with the preferences, if I expand this, notice there's a differences option and a differences option. So if I select the differences, it says none. If I select the differences, it says none. So in this case, the thing that I was looking for that would be a little different is the administration data tools. So in here, or the advanced search that we turned off. So if I do advanced and do a search there, notice that this didn't really come up. So when I'm looking at the preferences, I'm going to have to come down here to find information related to what changed. If I scroll down through here, you're not going to really find what you're looking for that easily. So if I go to the preferences down below and I click that, scroll down through this system, you'll see a difference that you can actually look at. So preferences for this is there was a preference called AWC folder. This preference has a value of a WP0 folder summary, and it's because I modified the XRT editor that it picked up on that the preference will have a potentially a new site ownership, new site setting on here. So it's just going to flip the ownership for me. And that's pretty much it for preferences. The preference values, again, it's talking about the history ID list on what's actually something that you had searched on. So you do have some user preferences on some of the UIDs that you had searched. If you go to style sheets, you can again choose differences at the top. And this one will show you the differences. I think this one's great because it'll show me that the file contents is what's different, not just the time date stamps. So in here, I can also see that the file name has picked up on what it means to be modified in XRT editor. So just note in your volume, though the dataset may pick up with the correct name, the volume, the file, will be a different name. If I click the file contents in here, it'll also highlight what changed in the code. So that's the differences between the two sites. Play around with this report. It gives you a lot of good information as to what's about to happen to your site. And in the next version of in the next video in the course, we're going to be importing this data into the site. Now, if you want extra practice with this utility, pay attention to the output where we did a -h, and instead of using extract and compare, play around with using a target package. So now you're comparing two zips. And it's just a replacement. Just make sure when you add target package, you give it the full path to the package and the .zip. So that'd be for extra practice. That one will also compare the two systems. From this point on, we'll be importing these packages and seeing how the import works.